Is marijuana a gateway drug? Welcome. My name is David Jolly. And by the way, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, I would really appreciate it if you did by simply clicking on the subscribe button below. Thanks. Well, the question of whether marijuana is a gateway drug has been asked for many decades with very mixed responses. But first, what exactly do we mean when we use the term gateway drug? Well, a gateway drug is a habit-forming drug that can lead to the use of other, more addictive or illicit drugs. There are several studies that have concluded that there is indeed an association between marijuana and the use of other drugs. Studies have focused on factors such as the age of the user when cannabis was first used, genetics, and the social environment of the individual. A well-known study out of New Zealand is often cited when referring to marijuana being a gateway drug. The study, Cannabis Use and Other Illicit Drug Use, Testing the Cannabis Gateway Hypothesis, was a 25-year study of 1,265 children. The goal of the study was to examine the associations between the frequency of cannabis use and the use of other illicit drugs. The study found that the frequency of cannabis use was associated significantly with the use of other illicit drugs and could lead to illicit drug abuse and/or dependence. These conclusions were found to be especially robust during adolescence, but declined rapidly as age increased. The study concluded that regular or heavy cannabis use was associated with an increased risk of using other drugs, abusing or becoming dependent on other drugs, and using a wider variety of other and/or illicit drugs. The study also concluded that their own findings may support a general causal model that marijuana is a gateway drug, but cautioned that to the extent to which these causal mechanisms are direct or indirect remain unclear. Another study, published in 2015, attempted to find more certainty when trying to connect the probability of progression from cannabis use to other more illicit drug use. Researchers used data from a survey of over 6,600 individuals who reported using cannabis prior to the use of any other drug. The study, entitled Probability and Predictors of the Cannabis Gateway Effect, a national study, estimated that 44.7% of individuals with lifetime cannabis use did progress to using other illicit drugs in their lifetimes. The study concluded that a large portion of individuals who use cannabis do go on to use other illicit drugs. Further, they added that there is an increased risk of progression from cannabis use to other more serious drugs for those afflicted with mental health disorders. Despite the amount of money invested into studying the concept of marijuana being a gateway drug, we cannot conclude that it universally is a gateway drug. The truth is that the majority of people who use marijuana do not go on to use other, more illicit drugs. In a sense, marijuana is no worse than, say, alcohol or nicotine, which also prime the brain for heightened response to other drugs. When we look at research and studies, such as the examples given in this video, we have to be very cautious with their conclusions. We must remember that there are other biological mechanisms, such as social environments, mental health, or genetics, that play a role too. However, if there is a takeaway from the research, we can conclude that marijuana may be a gateway drug for some and is more likely when the individual is introduced to cannabis at an earlier age. For more videos on cannabis and criminal law, please subscribe to this channel.